Today I'll be looking at two Superstar Destroyers, one from LEGO and the other from AliExpress. I'll be looking at the quality of the builds and seeing whether you should save your money or pay extra to go to LEGO. Starting with the genuine LEGO set, I think we could all agree that it is a handsome thing, very well proportioned, and I think it looks great actually. The only things I'm not really sold on are these parts here, which are sort of upside down, so I'm not the biggest fan of those elements. Moving on to the quality of the parts, if I can get the light to shine just right here, you'll see that the plastic is of a very good quality, very minimal level of scratching. In fact, none that I can see really, which is great. Spinning upside down, the only gripe I really have is the fact that some of these engine elements break off very easily. Not the greatest fit, if I'm completely honest. In fact, there, I've just done it now. So not completely sold on that, if I'm going to be truthful with you. But on the whole, and another one's just broken off there. On the whole, I'm quite pleased with it. It's very well proportioned. I like it. It's attractive, and I would recommend this as a static display piece. Now, if I move on to the fake one, first thing that's worth pointing out, if I can get the light to shine just so, is that their brick quality is not quite as good. It's not as shiny. It's got a different luster to it. The grey itself is a different colour as well, so the genuine set is a colder grey, so slightly bluer, whereas it's probably not coming across on the camera very well, but the fake set is slightly warmer, probably got slightly more red in there. In terms of the build quality, however, there are some pretty big differences if you go looking for them. The first thing that's worth pointing out is the obvious plaque here. So this is the fake plaque, not very good quality. There are lots of micro scratch and it's quite dull. The printing itself is also pretty rubbish, and clearly they haven't made any effort to line it up, so that would be where the logo normally would be. Then if we take a look at the genuine one, the differences are really quite stark really. So much brighter, the font is also much larger as well, and clearly it has the Star Wars logo to it, so that's the first key difference really from those points of views. Then looking at the 40th anniversary of the Return of the Jedi plaques here, the obvious differences are, much the same as with the named plaques really, so much duller, smaller, not very pleasant to look at if I'm honest, and clearly lots of micro scratches on there as you can see. And then on the genuine one, much brighter, a nice silver colour, and no real micro scratches, so the quality between the plaques at least is quite significant. Looking at the accompanying micro scale Star Destroyers, there are some subtle differences as well, so the colour of the grey is the same as the items from LEGO and from AliExpress. The only real other thing that's worth mentioning is that the rods here not really of a very good quality from the AliExpress ones. They have bubbles in them, which I'm not sure if you can see. If I can get that to focus, just there, you can probably see the bubbles, and one of them as well is it almost has a frosted appearance to it as well, which isn't great if I'm honest. Looking at the genuine LEGO ones, however, no bubbles and perfectly clear, so I would say much higher quality there. You could argue that you're not going to be looking at them in any great detail, but everything starts adding up in my opinion. For this next element, I've taken the fake Star Destroyer off of its stand just because it's easier to show you what I'm trying to put across on camera. So one of the things that I have noticed is the quality of the bricks, both in terms of their appearance but also their construction is quite variable. So the first thing that's worth observing at the end here is, if I can get that to line up, the point of the nose is really not at all great. It doesn't fit at all. And then you can see here there's an awful lot of movement in there, so it gives a splayed appearance when you're looking at it on a shelf. So not really very good if I'm honest. And then when you look at the other end, it's probably not coming across on camera, but that slopes down as well, so the gap really is quite noticeable even from quite a long way away on a shelf somewhere. So not a great fan of that. just for comparison, I will show you the genuine Lego set there at the front. So the nose pieces are all lining up much nicer, and there's very minimal movement there as well, and it's perfectly straight, which is really what you're hoping for such a prominent display piece, because as an item it really is quite long. And that's what she said, if anyone wishes to give their opinion on that. The issues at the front of the Star Destroyer are also present at the rear, so there's quite a lot of movement in the rear section, so it gives almost, when you're looking at it from a distance, a curved appearance, which, you know, the cost is probably not as much to suggest that, but it is noticeable. On the positive though of the fake Star Destroyer, the blue pieces across the ship are actually much brighter than they are on the genuine Lego set, which is nice. So if I could swap those pieces out, then that's one of the things I would do. Also, as on the real Lego set, these pieces break off very easily. I would say they break off a little easier on the fake set, and what I've done for some of them anyway is put some blue tack in there just to hold them on, just to stop something like what just happened happening again. So yeah, it's okay, but not as good as the real article. In terms of cost, the real Star Destroyer from Lego is generally quite difficult to find on offer. It's limited to just a few retailers and Lego themselves, so current retail price is $59.99. The AliExpress set cost me £13.88. Currently, however, it's available for £16.24. Whether this represents good value or not is really up to the person buying it to decide. However, I think given that I value looking at these items so much on a shelf as display pieces, I would probably only stick to the real Lego items unless I was on a real budget. However, similarly, you can probably find plenty of second-hand items as well if you wanted to save a few pounds and weren't planning to resell the item or keep it in its box. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.